Good morning, students. Welcome to the yet another lecture for the atomic structure. In the different lectures, we are proving it as an atomic structure given by the different scientists. Today, we will also study two other scientists who tried to explain something related to this atomic structure. The two other scientists that we are going to study, one is de Broglie and the another one is Heisenberg. Let us see it, what the de Broglie wants to say it. Actually, the whole de Broglie's theory, it's only theoretical. No experimental explanations or nothing is done on it. No experiments, only theory. And theory also of some other scientist who worked on it, and by connecting those theories, he just wanted to explain something related to it. Right? What was it? Actually, we studied dual nature. That is, radiations having wave nature as well as particle nature. That we already studied it. We know it that Planck proved it, that radiations are having it as a wave nature as well as particle nature. Right? Now, the same theory that was been as a question mark placed by de Broglie. What was it? De Broglie's argument was if radiations have wave nature as well as particle nature, then all those particles which are present in should also have wave nature. What is the meaning of it? If radiations are there, the light which is coming from the sunlight, as Planck told it that it is having it as an waves as well as it's a particle. De Broglie simply asked, if waves are particles, waves has particles nature also, then those which are particles, they should also have wave nature. This means you can say that if A is equals to B, can I write it as B is equals to A? But the problem arises. For the mathematics it might be true, but for the chemistry, for the structure of atom, it was not correct. It was being rejected. How it was being rejected, or what he wanted to explain, or how did he rejected the whole theory, that is wave as well as particle nature, that might be applicable only for the smaller particles, it's not applicable for all the atoms. Again, as per the Bohr's theory was restricted to the hydrogen atom, this whole theory will be also restricted to hydrogen atom only. This theory already proved it, that whatever you are trying to give it, the structures of atom, they are not correct. They are wrong. They are might be correct, but that also up to hydrogen. That means only applicable for first atom of the periodic table. For the rest of the atoms in the periodic table, the structure of atom was not been derived by this scientist. So that was the limitation. But how did he prove it? On this argument, he told it that according to the Planck's equation, according to Planck's equation, E is equals to h nu, or we also wrote it as nu is equals to c by lambda Therefore E is equals to hc by lambda. This was our first equation, that was according to Planck's equation. Okay, according to theory of relativity given by Einstein, that is E is equals to, we know it, E is equals to mc square, right? Okay, c is velocity of light, so we know it, m is mass of electron and c is the velocity of light. This is our second equation. De Broglie told it that both these equations are for related to energy, so can I write it as hc by lambda equating 1 and 2. Can we write it hc by lambda is equals to mc square? Taking the lambda on the one side, we get it as lambda is equals to hc upon mc square. 1c will be cancelled out, so lambda will be h by mc, right? Okay, here particularly I am putting c is equals to v, velocity. C is equals to V. I am putting a symbol change, so we get it as h by mv. So de Broglie's equation is lambda equals to h by mv, where he told it that mass and wavelength are inversely proportional to each other, because h is constant 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34. V is also constant 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, right? So both these values are constant, so we will get it as lambda and mass. They are inversely proportional to each other, so if mass increases, wavelength decreases. If I increase the wavelength, mass will be decreased. So that means if wavelength is very small, mass increased, wavelength will decrease, and that value will be such a small that even experimentally it will be difficult to measure it. And that's the reason why he told that this whole theory will be applicable only for small particles, where the mass of the particle should be very small. So according to the de Broglie's theory, we got it as lambda equals to h by mv. This equation is going to be useful to us to calculate the numericals, and this theory already proved it, that is applicable only for smaller particles where the mass should be very less, that the wavelength can be measurable, and this is possible only up to single electron containing atoms, and that is hydrogen. So whole theory also proved it, that all these things or all the structures that are being given out, they are limited to hydrogen atoms, right? Now there was another scientist who wanted to prove it, that I can prove it for the bigger one, but then also it was been restricted, that this whole theory was again restricted to hydrogen. He wanted to prove it for the bigger particles, but he can't. Actually the name of the scientist is Heisenberg, and he wanted to, it was given out as an Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Actually in his theory he wanted to say it that when the electrons are moving, or when anything is moving and particle has movement, they are moving, it means they are having some kinetic energy, they are having some velocity. When you are making it, can you get an accurate answer of their masses? Small error and the momentum of the particle will be changed. When you are having it as a small error of the mass, calculation of the mass, you change the momentum is changed, that means the wavelength is changed. According to the de Broglie's equation, we told that if a small change in mass, small change in mass means that is a change in momentum, m into v is, mv is momentum. Small change in mass, change in momentum, and if your momentum changes, the calculation of the wavelength also changes. So that means there will be an error in momentum as well as velocity. And Heisenberg told that change in the wavelength into change in the momentum, change in the wavelength and change in the momentum should be greater than or equals to h upon 4 pi. If your values are equal to h upon 4 pi, then only this theory is applicable. That means whatever the change in the momentum or change in the wavelength is done, that has to be accurately measured. Now during that case, what happens? Again, this is whole constant. So that means delta x and delta p are inversely proportional. If I try to minimize the value of one, the value of the another one will be maximized, because they are inversely proportional to each other. One decreases, other increases. If I try to decrease the momentum, the change in the wavelength will be increased. So both the errors cannot be minimized at a time. There will be always a problem for minimizing both of them. So as a result, the Heisenberg principle was given out as delta x into delta p should be greater than or equals to h upon 4 pi, where in the calculation for the numericals we will be using it as delta x into delta p equals to h upon 4 pi. So based on that formula we will be having it as a numericals, and this theory was only explaining the same factors as was been given out by de Broglie, that both of them cannot be minimized at a simultaneous conditions. Okay, is it clear? Hope so. Everyone are clear about it. Let's do it. There's some numericals based on these theories, right? We won't do it as in more numericals, 1 to numericals. We will do it for each of them, right? So that we can understand it. More number of practice you can do it from your textbook. Number of numericals are given or some other reference books, because as we know it that this is unlimited, restricted explanation periods, or the classroom period is there. Okay, here the first numerical that we will be having it, I will be just taking it from some notes, that the data, and then we will understand what is the value for it, right? Now the question is given to us, applying Bohr's model calculation. The wavelength of the radiation emitted when an electron is in a hydrogen atom makes a transition from fourth energy level to first energy level, fourth energy level to first energy level, right? Now this is a question that is given to us. What is told? It's a Bohr's model. We want to calculate the wavelength. That means I want to calculate lambda. But given to me is N1. At present, it's a transition from 4 to first. So N1 will be 4. N2 will be 1. Right? From fourth energy level to first. It's an emission. Emission means we will get the energy in a form of exothermic. Energy will be released. So our answer we will be getting it in a negative sign. But what does it in that negative sign is going to indicate to us? It's an exothermic, right? Let's get it. First of all, delta E that is equals to RH 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square, 2.18 10 raised to minus 18, 1 upon 4 square minus 1 upon 1 square. So we will be getting it as 1 minus 16, 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18, we will be getting it as minus 15 upon 16. This minus sign is going to give me exothermic. So overall energy I am going to get it as minus sign, but this minus sign is only for the indication that it's an energy is released. Now we also have it as an equation, E is equals to Hc by lambda. So can I write it as lambda is equals to Hc by delta E, that is equals to 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34, that is delta H, it's a fixed value. C 3.0 into 10 raised to 8, it's also fixed, and whatever the change in energy we get it by placing it, we will be getting it as wavelength. By putting it the value of it, we will get the wavelength. So put this value over here. Don't put the negative sign. Negative sign is only for indication of exothermic. So we are not forwarding the negative sign. Put it and you will get the answer. That will be the wavelength of the particle. Okay, let's see the another sum. For which the data is given to us. Again, applying the Bohr's model. Calculate the frequency and wave number. It's told to us to calculate the frequency and wave number of the radiation emitted when an electron returns to the fifth energy level. In right. Okay, now here what is told, we want to calculate the frequency. Frequency means nu. We want to also calculate wave number, right? Okay, for the frequency we get it as Hc by lambda and 1 by lambda. So first factor is I should know it what is lambda, because nu we write it as Hc by lambda and wave number is 1 by lambda. So in both the cases wavelength is must. So I need first of all wavelength. Now how do I get the wavelength? So for the wavelength I am having an equation, E is equals to Hc by lambda. So if I can come to know it, what is energy, I can calculate the wavelength. And how to calculate the energy? We are having an equation, RH 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square, right? Now RH is fixed, 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18. Now N1 it's told to me it's a fifth energy level. N1 is fifth energy level, and N2 that is equals to, it's told to me that it's entering into the Balmer series. That means N2 Balmer series is 2. So we will get it as 1 upon 5 square minus 1 upon 2 square. Again 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18. This one will become 4 minus 25. So minus 21. We'll be getting it as 25, and this is 4. So 4 minus 25, that will be minus 21 upon 25 into 4, 100. This minus sign again, it's an exothermic, right? So that sign, it's represented as minus. We got it as an answer of energy as A. substitute the value in the given equation. We will get it as the second calculation, delta E is equals to hc by lambda, but lambda will become hc by delta E. H is 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34, C is 3 into 10 raised to 8, and we will get it delta E, that is equals to A. So we will get it some wavelength value. Let's indicate it as B. Once we get it this, what we can do it is, we want to calculate nu is equals to hc by lambda. H is again 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 into 3 into 10 raised to 8 upon wavelength, we got it as B. Right? Substitute the value and get the answer. You will get it as frequency. Okay. If you don't want to calculate directly from here, you can also get it as n delta is equals to 3.29 into 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. That formula. You can also calculate it directly. Nu is equals to 3.29 into 10 raised to 15, 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. Using this formula also you can calculate it. Right? But we did it on this. The reason is we wanted the wavelength also. And that wavelength we are going to use it into the wave number calculation also. Wave number 1 by lambda. So we got it as 1 by lambda was B, substitute it, and we will get the answer C, that is the wave number. Right? If I say it over here C, I will write it over here D. So that will be a type of the questions that can be there for us. Right? But this were for our previous lectures theory of the Bohr's model for the energy. Today we did it as an de Broglie as well as Heisenberg uncertainty principle. On the basis of it also we will be having some numericals. Let's do it one numerical for it also. See, already I told you in our previous lectures also I was discussing with you, and whenever we were doing the numericals I already told you that once if you are able to recognize what is the formula applicable, the sum becomes much easier. Only the data has to be placed. It's the same thing, you saw it today also. Even in the numericals that we will be doing it now, that is also having the same. It's given to us. Calculate the wavelength of the body. Calculate the wavelength of the body of mass 1 mg of mass 1 milligram with a velocity of 10 meter per second. Right? So what is told to us? Given to us mass 1 mg, velocity 10 meter per second. Calculate wavelength. Now I know it that here the formula is lambda equals to h by mv. Mass is given to me, velocity is given to me, Planck's constant is constant. By putting it, I will get the wavelength. But what is the calculation here? I have to be careful. The units. The units over given to me. One is in the lower unit, one is in the higher unit. So I have to make the calculations in a proper units. So first of all, what I will do it is, I will convert it this milligram into kilogram. I know it that 1 milligram 10 raised to minus 3 grams 10 raised to minus 6 kilogram. Right? So we get it as 10 raised to minus 6 kilogram, and velocity is already in the proper unit, in the fundamental unit, meter per second. So let's substitute the value. We'll get it as 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 upon the mass. We will be getting it as 10 raised to minus 6 into velocity is 10. So simply 10 raised to minus 6, 10 will become 10 raised to minus 5, goes on the upper, plus 5 minus 34 plus 5 means minus 29. So your answer is much easily oral calculated minus 29, right, meter. So this sums, you will be here mass and wavelength were given or velocity were given. May be the case, mass may not be given, wavelength and velocity may be given. Mass and wavelength might be given, velocity might be asked to be calculated. So this will be the internal changes in it, right? Okay, so same way you can do it, other sums for it also, right? Okay, let's do it. Now the sum for Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, for which the question is given to us. The uncertainty in the momentum. It's told to us the uncertainty in the position. Calculate the uncertainty in the position of a dust particle with a mass equals to 1 mg if uncertainty in its velocity is 5.5 into 10 raised to minus 20. Meter per second. Right? Now, this is told to us uncertainty. That means immediately it helps me to recall Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. The formula delta x into delta p equals to h upon 4 pi. These values are constant. Left out is this too. Now, delta p, that is equals to m delta v. Therefore, we'll get it as delta x into m delta v is equals to h upon 4 pi. Now, delta v is given to me. This is an dust particle. The mass is also given to us, 1 milligram. We are being asked to find out. We get it as 4 pi m delta v, 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34, 3.14. Mass is 1 milligram, so I will have to write it in the form of kilograms. So why I'm putting it into the kilograms. This 1 milligram, 1 mg, that is equals to 10 raised to minus 6 kg, right, into delta v, that is given to us 5.5 into 10 raised to minus 20. Find out the answer, that is the change in the wavelength. Again, this answer you are going to get it in the meters, right? Again, for these numericals, what will happen? This time delta v is given to you. Next time maybe delta x may be given to you. Delta v you will have to find out, right? These are only the two possible factors that will be not given to you. One will be given, one you have to find out. Rest are the constants. So you will be getting the answers by doing such type of numericals, right? Being all to these theories, and all these theories we studied that they are applicable only for hydrogen atoms, right, or restricted up to hydrogen atom. Below that it is possible, above that it's not possible. So for that case, later on some other works being done which are completely away now from these theories. Our second part of this chapter, which we will do it in our next lecture, where we will be going through some other scientist work and we'll try to find out the structure of atoms. Thank you.